Hello, avid listeners. I just want you all to know that these next two special episodes of the Retrospective were recorded about two and a half months ago, prior to the completion or the release of the season 3 of the failed award contenders. And we were going to jump straight into the failed blockbuster special season that we have planned, but then some other ideas for retrospectives came up that were too good to pass up. So anything that's out of date in these episodes, that's why. But I hope you enjoy them because I think they're some of our better episodes. Really proud of this whole season. Thanks to Matt again for always being a great friend and co-host on this series, or these series, I should say. So yeah, enjoy the show and see you at the failed blockbusters.
I have a complete and utter horror of ugliness. Ever since I was very young. I don't know why.
I mean, because you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
I should probably
have
a wiki for the movie open.
You don't need to.
No, we'll need it.
Or you could.
We'll need it.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of fuckers in this movie.
There are a lot of fuckers in this movie. And the movie we're here to talk about today is Saltburn. This is a bonus episode here on the Waffle Press. Failed award contenders retrospective. Was this ever really in contention for awards, my co-host Macaringo?
Absolutely. As a follow-up to Promising Young Woman, which won Oscars. And
oh shit, I fucking forget that it did.
Yeah. And I mean it did win a bunch of like weird little awards. It says here it won the Mill Valley Film Festival Award, the Savannah Film Festival Award for Filmmaker of the Year and Audience Award, and then it was nominated for a bunch of shit. It was nominated for Original Score from the Hollywood Music and Media Awards, nominated for Supporting Actress, Cinematography, Ensemble Cast for the Las Vegas Film Society Awards. I did not know all these things existed. It was in the top 10 films of the Phoenix Film Critics Society Award. Yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot of stuff that you'd never heard of. So yeah, there was definitely an awards play. It was nominated for a ton of BAFTAs, it looks like. That seems to be the biggest thing it was nominated for. So, didn't win. It was nominated for leading actor, supporting role, actor in a supporting role, actress in a supporting role, score, and outstanding British film.
It makes sense that the Brits would like this one.
Yes. I mean, do the Brits like Zardoz?
I actually don't know.
Because that's like the most British film ever made.
Is it?
I would argue.
Okay.
So it's very similar to Saltburn, is that it's kind of about class society, but mostly it's about sex.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's you had brought this. I'll let you make your point about it because I agree with it. I still don't know how successful it is. I'm your host Diego Crespo, by the way. I forgot to introduce myself. You know who I am. If you're listening to this, you probably didn't stumble upon it.
You never know. Saltburn has a weird fan base that like seeks stuff out. So
yeah, but they weren't there for the voting polls where this lost to Babylon, and the only reason we're talking about it is because we got time to kill before the next retrospectives.
We're ahead of schedule a little bit, although the episode, if you're listening to this right now, there's been a bit of a delay in the episode releases.
Yes, but
not anyone's fault.
I guess we'll just dive into Saltburn now.
Yes.
How do we approach this? Because I feel like this is going to be a bigger movie for you than it is for me. But Matt, what's your take on Saltburn? What was your reaction when you first saw Saltburn?
My reaction when I first saw Saltburn. Well, all right. Well, I think we have to talk about Promising Young Woman a little bit before we can actually talk about Saltburn.
Okay.
I think that a lot of the reaction to Saltburn is in direct contrast to the reaction that Promising Young Woman had. And I think you have a longer history with that movie than I do. Because I did not watch that until very recently. Partly just to, like, watch Saltburn. Because Promising Young Woman was one of those things where, like, I don't even think I heard about Promising Young Woman until it was nominated for Oscars. Like, it like totally flew under the radar for me, and I didn't realize it was like a weird Sundance hit, right? I did not know that it was one of those like early like, oh, which Sundance Buzz out of Sundance might as well not be Buzz. Like, I can't think of the number of movies that were like well received at Sundance and then come out and like belly flop with everyone else. But
yeah,
so
sometimes there's some good stuff, but
obviously. But I think I noticed the Sundance thing more than other film festivals, right? Like, but all right, so what was your history with Promising Young Woman? Because I basically like missed this discourse.
I was really looking forward to it because I love Carey Mulligan. I thought the trailer looked really poppy and exciting, and it looked like it was dealing with very thorny subject matter, which it is, and it looked like I tend not to vibe with the exploitation stuff, especially when it comes to a really serious topic like rape revenge. I think there's just lines that can get crossed very easily, and it's difficult subject matter to deal with, right? Like, I think we all agree, especially nowadays, given the discussions about sex on film and dealing with non-consensual sex is just, not that it should be taboo, but it's like you have to thread a very careful needle.
Yeah.
And when I end up watching that movie, it is not a rape revenge movie, which isn't inherently a problem. I do think that film, and I will outright say its failings, are in the writing, less so the direction, and definitely not the performances. I think the cast is really great, but I think how it handles the subject matter, it honestly felt like almost like an Aaron Sorkinism, where it's like it was trying to win like arguments about stuff, not so much actually tackling its narrative about the aftermath of like confronting rapists. And I thought it was in pretty bad taste, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
and I know a lot of people really responded positively to that movie. I did not. I'm obviously a heterosexual man, so I have, that there is like there's I feel like I have shortcomings there in talking about this movie still, but I just know how I felt, and I know I did not like it, and I was looking forward to that movie.
Yeah.
And it left a bad taste in my mouth to the point where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna watch Saltburn, because that was weird.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the way that movie made me feel. So that's where I'm coming at it from. And I have more to say about Emerald Fennell, but I want to get to you first before I talk about how I started watching Killing Eve finally, because I think this is actually kind of important too.
Okay. We'll get to that in a second, but I think your arc is very similar to just, it felt like that kind of happened with, how do I say it? Like multiple people kind of had a similar reaction to it, right? Like it feels like it was genuinely divisive when it came out, where some people really rallied up around it, but some people really hated it. And right now I think all the top reviews on Letterboxd are negative, right? Yeah, the top.
Oh, are they? I didn't know.
The top 3 reviews are a 2.5 star, a 1 star, and a 2 star, and 2 of them are from familiar faces on Letterboxd. And then looking at the people I follow, it's a lot of 3 stars, like kind of like people like right down, like being like down the middle, and then a couple, I would say like 1 5-star, 1 4-star, and then like you and another person with like no stars. Yeah, it's a weird one. I found Promising Young Woman, I watched it right before Saltburn. I found it to be one of the most unpleasant film watches I've ever had. I wrote a whole thing about it because I was kind of baffled by the movie, because it was kind of pitched to me as like a dark comedy, And I think there are some elements of that in Promising Young Woman, but I also think it's one of the grimmest takes on the Me Too movement I've ever seen. My whole take, just to like not go into the whole thing, my whole take is that there's no way the guy doesn't get away with it after the credits roll, right? Like, he's been publicly exposed, but it's a movie that starts with the criminal justice system failing someone and then ends with the criminal justice system arresting someone. So why would I believe justice will be done? Like,
Yeah.
nothing fundamentally changed. And it's also a movie where the revenge scheme that happens seems to target more women than men. And in fact, it even seems to absolve one of the men complicit in this crime. Uh, and it was weird where I'm like, I couldn't tell how intentional it was, right? I couldn't tell if this was just a movie failing or if this is what the movie was going for, but both are kind of bad, right? Like, if it's failing to be like a Yes Queen empowerment revenge film, then it's like kind of like, well, you're using really touchy subject to make a really banal point, right? And then if it's trying to be almost a satire of those things that ends on like a very like Starship Troopers where everyone dies 5 minutes after the camera stops rolling.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
If it's trying to make a point, like that, it's kind of abhorrent, right? Like, it's sort of like, that's like insanely dark and grim, and it's weird that it was then embraced by kind of like that sort of weird Yes Queen feminism vibes, and then like its Oscar wins on top of it. Uh, it's a really, I kind of want to rewatch it now after watching Saltburn, but I don't know. It was honestly a very tough watch for me. I agree. We're like, it's the writing that I question more than the actual filmmaking, you know. But yeah. So I watched it, and I was like, I was watching it like in getting ready for Saltburn, and I was like, I don't really have to watch Saltburn. that was my reaction after Promising Young Woman, and then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna watch it just so I can like get it over with, and if I don't like it, I'll just turn it off, right? And I watched it, and I watched Saltburn, and my take was basically like, yeah, it was all right. That was my take. And then having rewatched it for this podcast, I was kind of wondering, like, okay, like, now that, like, like, whatever surprises that happened, although I went in, people had, like, told me, like, there's a big twist in it, so I kind of went in expecting it, and I kind of picked up what was going on before it happened. I didn't necessarily know how it was going to play out, but I kind of, you kind of figure out what's going on if you've been primed to think that.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't have the shock value that some other people had. But how do I say this? So I went in going, like, am I gonna like not like this on the second time, or am I gonna like it more the second time around? Like, maybe like, oh, now that like all the secrets are laid bare, I will be able to appreciate the film on a different level. And I watched it, and I basically just felt the same way again. I was just like, yeah, it was all right. I basically felt no different second time around than I did the first time around. But there are some things I just find very interesting in it that I find are very unique to this film that we will get into. I'm going to save those points. That I feel like people aren't really reckoning with. And I feel like a lot of the reviews are Saltburn doing the classic thing where I think they are reviews for Promising Young Woman that have been carried over to Saltburn. I think a lot of the response to Saltburn is more a response to Promising Young Woman's success than anything else. And I just think that happens. It's just a common thing, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people like who didn't like Promising Young Woman also kind of gave it a pass because of what it was. And I think people in retrospect kind of regret it. And so they had their knives out more for Saltburn. Even though I think Saltburn is undeniably a step up from Promising Young Woman.
I think so too.
Not that it's that big of a step up, but and then also there could be the thing of, I talked about liking The Whale, and part of liking The Whale was that I watched it after sitting through Babylon. So sometimes jumping from a really bad movie to an okay movie can make you like it more. So there might be a little bit of watching Saltburn after Promising Young Woman makes you go like, it's not that bad. So yeah, I don't totally. we'll get more into my points later. But what did you want to say about Killing Eve?
Yeah, well, first I want to. I think everyone knows how I feel about Saltburn. I didn't like it. I stand by my initial log on Letterboxd, which is just like some bullet points about like.
I'm gonna bring up your review in a minute, by the way.
Okay, are you gonna shit on it?
A little bit, but it's not your fault.
Okay.
So don't worry.
Okay.
About it. Don't
Okay.
worry about
Well, I
it.
want to say there's definitely one thing where I kind of responded in the aftermath of Promising Young Woman, and I think I definitely got annoyed at people that were like, "It was so crazy," because it's like it's clearly people's first like offbeat movie, which is fine. I want to reiterate that is not this movie's fault, and I think everyone has that. You know, I'm an only God forgives defender, and some people are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, I get it. You know, I've been there. And so like that, I want to put that aside in my response to this. So rewatching Saltburn after starting Killing Eve finally, a show that I've been interested in for a while because it got really popular at the end of my Tumblr run, basically. Like right when it started, and I think you and I are both big Jodie Comer fans, and we're like, when Jodie Comer isn't on screen, other actors should ask, where is Jodie Comer?
Well, I'm also a Sandra Oh fan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So...
Oh, they're both terrific in it, and like I see the show, that first season, written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, a show run by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, is so exciting, and like you totally get caught up in like the weird swooning, and like the bad blooded like will they won't they, like the chemistry is there. The show is really exciting and like provocative in a way that I see why it got such a big fan base.
Yeah.
And the real like key to it is the relationship dynamics, which isn't a relationship at that point, you know. It's I totally see why people were like, are they queer baiting us again? Mm-hmm. And then I haven't finished the show, and I don't think I'm going to, because I've seen where it ends up, and it's like a legendary all-timer, like, no, it wasn't queer baiting, but it's one of the ultimate like don't ever do this again finales. Like it's like one of the ultimate like bury your gaze.
Yeah,
like, it's like one of the prime examples of it. And like I've seen people post like on TikTok like edits of Villanelle and Eve, the Sandra Oh character and Jodie Comer characters, and then like people haven't seen the show, we're like, oh, what show is this? And they're like, no. Like I'm just thank me. Just thank me later. Just don't watch it.
I only watched about the first season and about half of the second season of Killing Eve. And I didn't tap out over anything specific, but I gotta say that show 100% before it was even over had the vibe of they're not going to be able to end this well. Like it just had that vibe, right? Like it's so part of me just
it would have taken. It would have taken like Phoebe Waller-Bridge to stick on board the whole time.
Yeah.
For that to happen. I trust her as a writer much more than I trust Emerald Fennell. And I think you can sense the vibe of season 2, which I do think is still entertaining, but it is missing like key components. Like even the way characters talk to each other doesn't feel as interested or engaged with like actual relationship dynamics as much as it is like titillizing or tantalizing.
She's interested in like the power dynamics more than like actual relationship dynamics. Like
which is why I still think that show is entertaining in that second season, but it's missing steps.
And it feels like it no offense to her, but like season 2 kind of feels like learning the wrong lessons about why people liked season 1. It has that kind of classic vibe of like they like it because it's kind of fucked up. And it's like, well, no, like that's part of it, but it is the relationships thing, and at least it didn't. I tapped out just because I've done this too many times. Like I'm too old. For this. But like it at least it didn't feel like it was pivoting to the Sherlock thing where they were like going to start like making fun of people that wanted it to go that way. You know that like at least it hadn't gotten there when I watched it, but my family loved Killing Eve though. They were like really into it. So, which is
I would like more kind of like fun, like poppy, sexy shows like that. Yeah. Frankly, it's so much fun that first season.
Well, I love the like Catch Me If You Can dynamics, right? Like of just like the one person like you have to hunt the other person. And is there anything gayer than that? Like,
No.
is like really?
I mean, maybe
like,
I don't know. maybe that's out of pocket for me to say.
no, I really,
But, like,
I think it's that thing of like you either want to be like the ultimate hunter or the thing that's hunted that can't be caught, right? Like those are the two things you want to be in a dynamic. Like
at,
it's
at least fictionally.
yeah,
I mean, some people in real
I do
worlds, yeah.
not, of course, I do not mean it in like actual life, but like when you
Yeah,
translate to
yeah,
real
yeah.
life, it's more just like you either want to be good at like charming people or you want to be like you want to be hard to get, right? Like that's more the like
Yeah,
real
yeah.
world version of it.
But
I do
like
not mean we want to be actually physically hunting each other down,
yeah.
but
But like in terms of like entertainment like that, like there is sort of like that power fantasy element to it, which I
yeah,
think is why people were drawn to that. And I think why Emerald Fennell is so drawn to those dynamics in Saltburn, especially. I think that's the point we were getting at.
yes,
Which is why maybe her work in Promising Young Woman is just strange and off-putting, and
yeah,
people have straight up called it like vile and evil, and I don't know if I disagree, but I don't know if it's malicious. I think it's like accidentally that,
yeah.
which is not great. But I'm not like angry at Emerald Fennell. I kind of got my eye on her.
Yeah, same.
Like
Of just it
like
is one of those where like I
what's your
feel like
deal?
however I feel about Saltburn going forward will depend on what Emerald Farrell does with the rest of her career. Fennell.
Yeah. Like
But
I'll say right now what she's got in the works. She wrote the script for Ballerina, the
mm,
John Wick spinoff,
which is
and
a production that is going perfectly smooth with zero problems and zero notes.
gotta love that Chad Stahelski. Anyways, that I am pro Chad Stahelski. That wasn't
Yes.
like a dig. And the other thing she had on the docket, which she is no longer attached to, from my understanding, and I'm not even gonna say of any fault of her own, she wrote the script for Mark Millar's Nemesis adaptation. Have you read that comic?
Oh no, I have not. But I
Oh,
know.
it's
Yeah.
definitely a Mark Millar
All right.
comic.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, those are two
but
forces I do not want working together.
yeah, yeah,
um, uh, yeah, those are two. Those are two. Wow, that I mean, maybe I
yeah.
kind of want to see it, but also like no.
No, I've said for years, like the one Mark Millar adaptation I genuinely want, like because they already adapted it, but they just made it like a kind of generic action movie, which I still enjoy. But like a comic accurate version of Wanted, I think
Mm,
would break the comic book movie industry. I think they'd be like, we have to stop.
mhm.
Like you would have to get like a Michael Bay level like talent slash um vulgar auteur to
Mhm.
like break people's brains, because like that is one of the most repulsive things ever.
Mhm.
But I also admire that it's like, no, that is every interest Mark Millar ever had
Yeah.
in like
Well, that
a
was the
comic book.
Mark Millar thing for a while, where like he was like, I'm not afraid to go there, right? Like he would like he's like I'm
Yeah.
gonna go there.
And then
And, well,
I go from 13 to 14, and I'm like, no, I'm good now.
yeah, but also it is like, oh, this is the only trick you have. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
you're not gonna really show us anymore because he's been doing the same fucking thing of just like,
hmm
what if superheroes were fucked up? And it's like
yeah,
Alan Moore has done that like 7 times too, but he always has like a different spin on it each time, right? It's not
yeah.
like
Like Dark Knight Returns isn't Watchmen, and vice
yeah,
versa.
yeah, and it's also it's like yeah, Watchmen, he's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, like those are both in their own unique ways deconstructions of superheroes, and they
hmm
have very different takes, and they're very interesting. But Mark Millar just kind of does the same fucking shit over and over again. Uh, but yeah, and again, Emerald Fennell might be in the similar boat where like if she keeps making movies, it could just be like, oh, you only know how to do one thing. Uh,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
but I am
Um,
interested in what she does, which I wouldn't have said after Promising Young Woman. Uh,
Yeah, me too. I don't like this movie though.
okay,
But I I don't know. There's because I don't think she's that successful in making like a feature film yet. Like there's a lot of talk about like the compositions and like the cinematography. Linus Sandrin, my boy, obviously is going crazy with like the colors and the lighting and the fractal imagery,
yeah,
which is tons of fun. But like when it's all like edited together, I think it's a little choppy.
No, I would
I
agree.
I
I would
don't
agree.
think it flows very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that there is a sort of, I don't want to, but there's almost like an insecurity to the directing of just
Mhm.
like it's overcompensating with some stuff. Like it can't, there's, I can't think of a single scene that's like just blocked super well. Like,
Uh-huh.
of
It's a
just,
lot of singles.
yeah, it's a lot of singles. And it's a lot of like, oh, let's walk through the fucking castle again. Like, it's a lot of repetition, and it feels like it comes from a place of maybe not having enough confidence to just do the scene, right? Uh,
Yeah.
it's so like yes, I agree. I think there it is one of those. It kind of sums the whole movie where it's like there's individual moments. So I'm like that was really good, but when you stitch it together, it's kind of a mess. Uh, and although it's weird, it's weird. I almost want to flip the way Saltburn was shot with the way Babylon was shot. Like I almost feel like this is what Babylon should have looked like, and Saltburn should look like Babylon.
I never thought of that, but that's pretty good. I
Mhm.
would like to have seen that too.
Like it's like it feels like it's the souls ended up in the wrong bodies.
Yeah,
Um,
like down to the even like the aspect ratios, which I know I think people think I'm like I have like nitpicks about that with a lot of movies, but I really think that would like have benefited Babylon because it would have had to fucking sit still a
mm,
little bit with singles especially, and like also that's how a lot of like older classical films were
yeah,
shot back then because they had to, right? And might maybe have benefited the vibe that they were trying to capture. And with Babylon's like swinging camera and like oscillating like perspectives constantly, it's like that might have benefited the narrative here more.
yeah. That was kind of my take watching it this time because having just rewatched Babylon for the show. Um, and I'll just say, just not to be like a whole thing, but like I I am super judging people that are like Babylon's secret masterpiece, but fuck Saltburn. Like I'm
Well,
sorry,
some people
but
like both.
so if you like both, I can at least vibe with that a little bit. Like, but
Hmm.
I just I don't I not to be I've started to pick up on something where I think we are not allowing female directors to be vulgar auteurs. I think there is a weird sexism that we will not allow women directors to be terrible
Hmm.
in a way that we give a pass to someone like Paul W.S. Anderson, right? Like, and if we
Yeah.
do give a female director a pass, it's very much a like stay in your lane type pass, almost. Like where like I feel like
Hmm.
Nancy Meyer gets thrown in the vulgar auteur thing, but she does like rom coms, And
Yeah.
I feel like that seems to be a thing where it's like I feel Emerald Fennell is like almost like she's who's a good equivalent like who's the guy who
I
directed
don't know.
Boondock Saints? Like,
Oh
no,
no.
like
Is it Patrick McDuffie?
yeah, like that's a little harsh, but uh, I don't know. It feels like she's in a sort of camp like that in terms of just like going for shock value with maybe not the substance to back it up, but or using pieces without totally knowing where it is. Or you know what the other weird one? I feel like she might be in a weird pocket that Shyamalan was in post Sixth Sense, where I think Shyamalan actually was hurt by the success of The Sixth Sense of being like financially successful and winning Oscars, right? That you
Hmm.
see for the next like 4 to 5 films, Shyamalan is trying to remake The Sixth Sense, you know? And I think it has taken
Yeah.
until recently where he's gotten better at being like, no, this is what my voice really is. And I think he's gotten back on track, right? I think his last few movies have been
Hmm.
good in that respect. And I feel like Emerald Fennell is going to be in this weird pocket where she's trying to make Promising Young Woman Part 2 for the next 10 years. And it might.
I hope not. But
I,
really quick, by the way, the director of Boondock Saints is Troy Duffy.
Troy Duffy.
My
All right.
bad.
All
My
right.
bad.
Yeah, probably she's probably not Troy Duffy levels, but there's something to her where I feel like she's got the vulgar auteurism thing that I feel like no one is willing to even acknowledge. That there are recurring things in her work that I think are interesting, even if she isn't necessarily the most successful filmmaker. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're
And
saying.
this is when I would like to get to your review of Saltburn that you wrote on November
Mm-hmm.
24th, 2023. Look, I'm gonna drag you a little bit, Diego, but it's not you. It's you.
Okay.
Your review just happened to have like everything I saw spread across multiple reviews.
Okay, but I
Um,
was there early on, so
I guess, but it's still. Uh,
okay.
Also,
Okay.
how do you say Jacob's last name? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Elordi.
Elordi, right?
Yeah.
Jacob Elordi and Barry what?
Barry Keoghan.
I'm not gonna remember that. So Jacob and Barry.
Keoghan.
Fuck it. Fuck it. Fucking names are too much now. Um, you get a firm pass from Maine as to not join on the critical dogpiling. Well, what is this review then? This is.
Yeah, maybe I should have left that out.
uh, Let me see. That's what are the things I wanted to point out? All right, why is this a period piece? Is one of your points. I saw a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people make this point. Why?
Yeah, can you sell me on this?
Well, I don't know why anyone even cares.
I just want to know why.
Well, because that's when she went to college.
Okay, but like I think that should fit. I don't think it's too much to ask for that to fit narratively into your film.
I don't know. I don't know what more you want from it. I really don't know why you look at a movie and go, "Why is this a period piece?" That's just when it's
I would
set.
just like a reason.
It's just
Like
it's just
I
set
know
there.
why The Holdovers is a period piece, and that movie was made by an asshole.
But I'm just saying, I don't know if that really matters.
Okay.
I think
Sure, I disagree.
I just don't know why that became such a flashpoint for people. Like it is set.
It's not a big hang up for me. It's just it is a hang up.
It was a big
though.
hang up for a lot of people though.
Yeah.
Seems
Well,
like
not a lot of people.
I saw it in a lot of reviews.
Okay.
And I don't know why that was a thing people went to. And I don't know why just being like, well, that's when she went to college. She went to Oxford. Like, this is about her. Like, that's what's insane about this movie is that it's partly biographical. So that's why it is set then. This was her experience at Oxford. This actually happened to my buddy Emerald. Like that's why it's a period piece, right?
All right.
You know. Well, you haven't written anything that's set when you were fucking 18.
Yeah, I did, and then I was like, "This doesn't need to be."
No,
I put it away.
I'll give you that. Like you had the right call to be like, well, it wasn't that interesting of a time, but some of us don't have that gear. I think what were the references to the text? It's like they watched Superbad at one point. There is a Harry Potter reference, which is important. There's a Harry Potter reference in this movie, which I think is the key to unlocking the whole film.
Do you really?
Yes. That's not a joke. Apple Bottom Jeans, which the guy singing Apple Bottom Jeans in the karaoke is, he's in the movie Mr. Turner, one of my favorite films. He's the guy who is like the son of the rich guy who buys one of Turner's paintings and invites him over for one of the worst parties ever. Where do they talk about gooseberry bushes or something like that? Like, great scene in that movie. Not sure about why is that? That seems to be a thing we keep doing where it's like this person is singing a song they shouldn't be singing.
I feel like it's just an easy shorthand.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
That's all right. That was another thing I noticed especially on this watch, is how many scenes end on like a weird comedy beat, right? Just like how many scenes it's like, it's almost like, yeah, we're a comedy, and it's like, but why? Like, I have a bigger question about that than the period piece thing. Like, why are so many scenes buttoned with a joke?
That's a good question.
Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, like, is it supposed to be like, oh, that's her version of dark comedy? And now, this isn't even me trying to be dismissive. Like, I'm like, I genuinely asking here.
Yeah.
Much like I was genuinely asking about it being a period piece. Like, why?
Well, I think we
Like,
talked
just
about
why?
the problem of stitching these things together. I don't think she knows how to end the scene sometimes, so it ends on a comedy beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh, well, let's stop here. And it's like, oh, okay, that's the joke is a signal for me to know that the scene is over. Like please clap. It has that weird vibe to it. A lot of people made the talented Mr. Ripley comparison.
Yes.
Which I believe
yes.
even Emerald did.
Yeah.
Which
Paul Schrader also clocked that, but he was even less nice about
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah, well, Paul Schrader's also a psychopath, so
Yeah, definitely.
God bless him.
I'm not keeping an eye on him. I got my dukes up for him.
Yeah. No, it's one of those where it's like, please die soon, so we don't learn too much. Fennel has cited...
one of the greatest writers in American history. Stop letting him on the internet.
It's pretty funny. All right, so like Fennel has downplayed the talented Mr. Ripley comparisons, which is kind of crazy. Although you'd be surprised how many people organically write the plot, the talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah,
I've talked to people who like they read, and then I'm like, oh, this is kind of like the talented Mr. Ripley, and they're like, what's the talented Mr. Ripley? And I'm like, oh. So, Fennel has cited A Clockwork Orange. Fucking what?
I don't see that one. I gotta be honest.
What happens in this that happens in A Clockwork Orange other than it being England? I really, that one I
could not tell you.
I don't have a thing for. I guess maybe
that's strange.
The like society is secretly cruel underneath, but that doesn't seem to be like a secret in this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty open about its intentions there.
Cruel Intentions, which that I 100% believe.
Yeah.
Cruel Intentions, the teen drama remake of The Dangerous Liaisons.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Cruel Intentions?
Yes, I have. I interviewed the director last year. Go check it out.
Oh, all right, right on. I did not know that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. It was over a year ago.
How do you feel about Cruel Intentions?
Roger Cumble. I like Cruel Intentions.
Yeah, I do too.
I told Roger Cumble, I was like, I think it's aged really well. I think people stopped, because he's aware of this. Like it was dismissed as like, oh man, it's so bad it's good. It's like, no, I think it's good. I think it's just good. It's just the material is, it's not prestige.
Well,
it is. I didn't say that to his face, but you know, I kind of talked around it like. It's very trashy material, like very like
100%
weird.
It honestly, the pitch of it feels like a joke, right? Like, we're gonna do teen drama, Dangerous Liaisons, and it's kind of a forerunner for not just SALTBURN, but also like something like Gossip Girl, right? Like Gossip Girl has 100% a Cruel Intentions vibe. That's like an even more watered down version, but.
Mm-hmm.
Although, isn't there something weird between, like... Isn't there, like, a weird, like, incest thing in Cruel Intentions?
Yeah, well, okay. You might have uncovered, like, that weird subculture of porn.
No, I know that
but you know exactly where I'm going with
it.
There's the whole, like the step siblings, like, try to hold sex over each other. And they don't fuck in the movie. But that is like the precipice.
But they were
like the inciting incident.
That's what I couldn't.
Like, I'll have sex with you.
But that's what I couldn't remember. They are step siblings in it. So okay, I couldn't remember.
It's not like
which
does not make it okay.
It's not make it better. But also, I was more just like, did the film have the fucking balls to go insane, or did it just kind of pull a Brady Bunch movie? Because that's, again, I pointed out that is a subplot in the Brady Bunch movie from like 5 years earlier. That they are brother and sister, but they're step siblings, and they're attracted to each other in the Brady Bunch movie. So the other thing is, I guess it's Ryan Philippe. I guess like that is the other angle of it, that like people were just ready to hate Ryan Philippe at the time.
Oh yeah, why? Did he do something, or is he just like did he
Uh,
just get on people's nerves?
I think at the time it was just like he was like a team guy, right? I think he might have gotten canceled like later, uh,
Mm.
but um, but I think he was kind of like I don't know how he got big, but he was kind of like it's that classic thing of like, oh, if you're popular with tweens, then people hate you. So I
No, well,
think
he had just done I Know What You Did Last Summer,
yeah,
which is a fun movie.
yeah, it's all right.
Um,
Um,
I like that movie.
I do, but I'm not sure I'm like when I'm gonna go to bat for too hard.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Oh, and then he was in Greg Araki's Nowhere.
oh, all right.
It's like
Um,
it's not a big
yeah,
part, but
but
he's
then
in it.
like he's also is he the lead in Breach? Yeah, he is. He's not good in that. Uh,
Oh, I
but
remember liking that movie.
it's okay. But I threw it on recently, and I was kind of like, oh, this isn't as good as I remember it.
Ah, bummer.
And I love Spy Pros. It's kind of one of those movies where it's like, oh, you know who's fucking saving this movie is Chris Cooper. Like it's one of those
Oh yeah, well
where
Chris Cooper was fucking
yeah,
just he was a titan.
yeah. And then they brought him into Amazing Spider-Man 2 and just had him sit in a bed.
I know when you cast him as the Green Goblin, you're like, all right, there's something
Yeah,
here, and
we're
it's just
cooking
no, he's
with
there, and then he
gas,
dies.
and then it's like he does nothing.
Yeah.
But
Did I ever tell you the original post credit scene for that movie?
wasn't it his father showing up?
Yeah, so like because Norman dies, right, and in the actual cut of the movie, he does die. But the original idea was like, oh, he was going to the post credit scene was going to be like the man in black walking through Oscorp, right? Which is
Mhm.
in the movie now. It's just earlier, not a post credit scene. And like by all the supervillain stuff, and then he goes to a secret vault, and he's like, "Welcome back, Mr. Osborn." The door opens, and it's his like his frozen head like activating. Like they had no idea what the fuck they were doing at any point in time.
You gotta be fucking kidding me, man. What the fuck? Oh
Yeah.
my
So
god.
like yeah, so when people like want that Amazing Spider-Man franchise revisionism, like look, I'm sorry. I'm glad you saw and liked those movies when you were
Yeah.
5 or whatever.
Like,
Like
look,
please do not
I know,
like
like, we're all sick of the MCU, and it's like they're like the whipping boy right now because they're terrible. But like, goddamn it, they were never that bad. Like, that is one of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is like one of the most embarrassing things ever.
yeah.
But
Like it looks like a movie sometimes. There you go. And
which
look, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone are just good. Like
no,
that's
yeah,
just
yeah,
what it is, you know.
it's a
But
chemistry thing. Had genuine chemistry together.
yeah,
But now one of
Andrew
them's
Garfield would probably fucking crush in an Emerald Fennell movie. Like I'm just thinking about this
yeah, yeah,
now
he probably would.
because he's such an expressive actor.
Mhm.
You know, like I feel like he could really like even if her material is not as
What? All
strong
right.
as he deserves.
Here's a
You
question I
know,
had watching this. I was like, what did the actors think they were making? Like, how do you?
I think they thought they were doing like something real provocative.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you a touchstone,
because everyone
but
feels oddly committed to it. You know,
yeah.
everyone's like all in, and I'm just like, I just can't picture what they were thinking. Of just like you
Yeah.
read the script and you get to the drinking the cum bath water and like what's going through. Like, wow, this movie really goes places. Like,
Yeah.
sure does.
um yeah, I'll be honest, like when I first saw this movie I was like, well, you know, it's not as weird and dangerous as everyone's saying. And then you get to Barry Keoghan tongue punching a bath drain and I'm like, okay, that is genuinely a little out there. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And I like this. I'm on the Wikipedia, and I thought of this, but I like there's obviously people have referenced Rebecca, you know,
mhm.
the Gothic novel, as well as I think the Hitchcock film, which retains a lot of that. But some people have also made comparisons to Coppola's Dracula, and I do think there are some like vampiric imagery in this in the Gothicness. I mean, it is like a very vampiric story in a weird way, and that's the stuff I kind of
Yeah.
respond to. It's almost like it's weird where I feel like Emerald is struggling to make the sequel to Promising Young Woman and not embracing more of what this movie should have been straightforward, right? That
Mhm.
had this been a straightforward, just like here is my riff on Talented Mr. Ripley, I think it would have worked a lot better. Uh,
Yeah.
Instead, it is. But if I'm also trying to say a bunch of stuff about class that I don't know if that's in your review as well.
Yeah, I don't think it has
But
anything
here's the
on point to say about that
here's
stuff.
yeah. What do you think it is saying politically?
Initially, because now I just think it doesn't know what to do with any of this
Yeah.
stuff. I don't think it's as interested in that. But I thought it was just like not pro upper class, but it was just saying like I think it's a very cynical nihilistic film regardless, but I do think it was saying like okay, anyone who like is even in these spaces is just as nefarious as each other. And on some level that like might be true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you get to that level of status and class, like that's, you know, there's probably a reason for that, and it's not going to be a good one. But it does like I don't know if I 100% agree anymore with the idea that like poor or working class, middle class people, well, middle class doesn't exist anymore. Working class people are dangerous like by trying to like invade the space. I really don't think that anymore.
But he isn't working class.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
But
that's
initially
the
that
kicker.
was a big talking point about this movie.
Yeah, is that like he's lying about it? That he's pretending to be working class essentially. Maybe people don't. Maybe they look at his home and they think that it looks. Maybe people are telling on themselves a little bit that they think his family, Barry's family's home is more moderate and working class, and that is not a working class home.
Yeah.
Especially in England. So
that might have been a working class home in like the 50s.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, in the before Thatcher. But yeah, so I think people so I think some people maybe just mistook that a little bit. 'Cause to me it's like I've heard people call this like Parasite for Dummies, which is a little reductive but also not untrue. And my whole thing is that I think it has the one thing it taps into that I think is correct and interesting is that there's no group easier to grift than the upper class, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they are the biggest suckers on the planet, and but like it. I know we all like Rosamund Pike, right? And she's having fun in this movie, but
she's a ball in this movie.
But her character is so dumb that I wonder if it almost undercuts what the movie is going for, in terms of like, because like she's the most easily duped person on the planet, and I guess that's what they're going for, right? That it's supposed to be that she's so kind of cut off from the real world that she can easily be duped, but then she can also still kind of like be casually cruel when she needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's weird. I actually also think I also wonder if Jacob Elordi's like charisma almost undercuts what the film was going for as well.
I think it does,
because he's given so many lines in this that like out of another person's mouth you would be like fuck this guy, right? But he's got like such an odd charm to him. You like him, right? You're like,
yeah,
he seems like a genuine dude, and I don't think that's how the character was necessarily written. I don't know if, because when Barry's whole lie comes apart and like he's exposed, and Jacob Elordi's like for the first time is like really pushing back on him. Like I felt for the guy, right? Like which you almost feel like a movie like this you shouldn't feel for the kid who's like the most privileged fucking person on earth, right?
Yeah.
You feel like you should be watching it and going, look, what Barry did was wrong, but you gotta understand where you're coming from, man. That like your lifestyle will inherently attract these people, and then like you kind of like you were treating him like a charity case, which is in its own way condescending. But I didn't feel that at all. Like his performance gives a vibe of like he feels genuinely betrayed that he lost a friend, right? And
yeah,
it's like I don't know if I was supposed to feel that bad for him.
Yeah, and like in some ways the movie needed that because I think the writing of the character, like it's too, like you're talking about the Rosamund Pike thing, which I think I agree with. Like it's almost too shallow. Like the point is that they're shallow, but it's too shallow to be believable in any context. And his writing, I think, would be the same if not for his performance. So it's like it's too much, but it's also like a little less could have made it like
Yeah.
like a truly breakout role. I mean, maybe it even was a breakout
No,
role for him.
I think it is.
Well, then he's like fucking Elvis like a month later, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, no, I really do think it is because now I'm like, I'm fucking on this guy's team forever. Like, I kind of love him.
He's great.
In
He's
the
fantastic.
movie. And what's he got coming up now?
He's gonna be Del Toro's Frankenstein monster.
Which, fuck yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
I'm there for that. God damn. But
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully we got that to look forward to. But yeah, it is a funny thing where it's like he's almost too nice and charismatic for what the role, because there's the line in it when when everything's like coming undone, and Barry's all like, I just gave you what you wanted like everyone else does. Like that's supposed to be kind of a Wham line, right? That's supposed to make you go like, oh, in a way he's right, like he's just the extreme version of like the kid. And it's like, you're like, no, you're not on his side at all. And that's the other insane thing, is that there was that interview that came out after the movie where Emerald tried to explain like why the movie ends the way it does. And part of it is like, well, you're supposed to you're supposed to kind of be on Oliver's side, and you're supposed to be like, yeah, good for him, he won. Like as the worse he gets, the more on your side you are, the more on his side you are. And I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? This kid's a psycho. Like it's like my whole take is like, I can understand not having sympathy for the rich family, right? I can understand walking away and being like, okay, like these people suck, so like it's not, I don't feel bad for shit happening to them. I cannot for the life of me understand being like, yeah, good for Oliver. He won.
Yeah.
Like in any capacity. He's not even like a villain where it's like he's so charming to watch, you're like, good for him. It's a real like, this guy, he's like fucking Travis Bickle, man. Like he's like,
he's not charming in the slightest.
No.
But you know what movie Barry Keoghan is charming in? Like real charming?
Which one?
He's really suave in Eternals. His chemistry with the character Makari is like insane for a Marvel movie. And
that movie,
I kind of want just more Eternals for them, you know?
That movie, man.
I know, you and I are the last two standing on it, but we're right.
And he's also kind of in a similar boat where like you don't know where his allegiances lie in that movie. And he has a superpower that should make him inherently unlikable, but you're constantly swinging back and forth on him. It works better in fucking Eternals than it does here, which is very funny.
But yeah, here I do think he's good, but it's like I don't like the character. I like him as the character.
I don't know though. Like it is one of those where like it's like, you know, like yes, De Niro as Travis Bickle is a good performance, but like Travis Bickle is someone you want to get the fuck away from, right? Like Taxi Driver, you are stuck in the taxi with Travis Bickle. Like you are not seeking him out to be like, yes, he's a fucking monster, but like he's a fascinating monster. It's Oliver Quick in this, which what a fucking name, by the way.
I know.
Like,
I know.
What's Oliver? I want to do a character that's kind of like Oliver Twist, but it's not Oliver Quick. Good enough.
Which is like, is part of the unsubtlety her attempt at being very blatant about it, because you know we've talked about like, you know, maybe subtlety doesn't need to be a concern when talking about art. You know, it's intention, because no one fucking understands subtlety anymore anyways. I used to think The Last Jedi wasn't subtle enough with its fucking references to other Star Wars, and people are like, it hates Star Wars because it doesn't reference enough. So who fucking knows anymore?
Yeah. All right. I guess I just answered the period piece questions, which is something that I did not realize, that the final part of the film was supposed to take place in 2022. I must have missed that.
Okay. I remember hearing that and forgetting about it because I was like, I don't think that's true. And so you bringing it up right now is like, okay, maybe I guess confirmation that is true, but I don't
It's what the wiki
know,
says.
because there's a passage of time clearly.
There
but
is a
it's
passage of time because she's like, "You're all grown up," and he looks the fucking same. And, they try for like 5 minutes in the beginning to make him look like a freshman at college, and then they just give up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because Barry Keoghan, he's a smaller fella.
Yeah.
I'm not that tall either. I think we're about the same height, honestly.
Yeah. When did guys get
we're little
so?
fellas,
When did people get so insecure about being short?
I don't know.
Like it's been
I think the 90s or the 80s.
No, I'm talking about like online, like now. Like,
I
it
don't
feels
know.
like so many guys are obsessing over their height. Hi, Dan Doherty. And it's I just
Leave the boy alone.
well, I just don't get it. I'm like, your height is your height, man. Like, you're fine.
One of my favorite fucking TikTok videos ever is like, they'll do like the street interviews of whatever, right? And this one guy was like, how tall are you, bro? And do you consider yourself insecure about your height? And he's like, first of all, I'm taller than you. And it's like, well, there's your answer.
That is pretty funny.
Like, all right. But anyways, I think the height thing, they probably just assumed like, oh well, he's a smaller fella, so he'll look younger, and so we can like play that up. And it's like, that's not the case.
Yeah, the twist should have been
in real life or in the film.
He was an adult man the whole time. That should have been the actual twist. That everyone bought it for some fucking reason.
Or it'd be funny if he was even younger, and everyone's like, "What? Like, you look like you're fucking 35."
Oh my god! Yeah,
Like,
they pull an orphan or some shit.
yeah. Oh, there you go. This movie's orphan coded.
A little bit, yeah. Now there's a good movie.
Orphan fucking rips. It's so just everyone watch. Sorry, we just gave away the twist to Orphan, which is
we kind of did, but if you have to, you won't totally know if you watch it. It's weird.
Yeah. Go enjoy that. That's a real like masterpiece of like a B movie.
Yeah, that's genuine trash authorship. Like,
yeah.
But also, if you're Gen Z, it might make your head explode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, you pointed out in your review where like there were a lot of people being like, I don't think you didn't write it, but I saw a lot of people being like, "What have you people never seen Pasolini?" Or some. Oh, you did reference Pasolini.
I did. Yes, it's theorem or theorem.
Yeah.
In English.
I missed that.
Which that movie is so fucking good, and it's so like funny, but I think as it's very dry. And it's very Italian. I think people don't understand how funny it is. So the premise of that movie, when I explain it, you'll see why I reference it.
No, I know that movie. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, then to the listeners, a young waifish man enters this family's abode to stay with them for a bit, and he fucks everyone, and he fucks them so good that they when he leaves, they lose all sense of self and class and don't know how to go on living for their life for like the rest of their lives. And the family dynamic falls apart because they've realized the emptiness, the vapidity of their existence. The wealth and the status is nothing compared to the primal joys of a full life, I guess. It is hysterical, and it's really good.
And there's definitely the middle chunk of this movie feels like it was lifted from that, like where Oliver just goes around having sex with multiple people.
It is exactly that.
But in this,
like someone fucking dies in bed in Theorem because they're like, I don't know what to do with my life anymore after getting dick down like that, which is insane.
It's
Please go watch that movie.
But also like I get why fucking Gen Z hasn't seen a Pasolini film, right? Like or John Waters, like, you know.
Although I think once TikTok gets a hold of John Waters, the game's going to change forever.
We kind of have to hope. Unfortunately, I think John Waters maybe has to pass away before that happens. Because like John Waters will get canceled. Like it's because like they straight up kill like an animal in Pink Flamingos. Like,
okay, yes, you're right.
Pink Flamingos as like it's Pink Flamingos is insane. Like it's as button pushing now as it was then, right? So, and now everyone's got their defenses up more. But you know, but people need this sort of. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too easy on Saltburn for like that sort of response. For people like, this is so fucking crazy, bro. like which I, not my take, but maybe this is like, maybe I'm like, because like for some people Joker was kind of this, where it's like, oh, Joker, if you haven't seen a fucking Martin Scorsese film, of course Joker's gonna seem radical, right?
Yeah.
Like, so maybe Saltburn is just this for like gay Gen Zers. Like, this is, it's like, well,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
if you haven't seen a lot of gay cinema, because it's a lot harder to get a hold of these days, um,
I mean,
you
there's
know,
a lot of like really striking, quick aesthetics and like costuming. Like there's the antlers that Barry wears at
yeah,
one point, like the angel wings on the Lordy and stuff like that. Like the whole like the extravagance of the wealthy in this, like it isn't like admirable or sexy, which is like fine. It's totally fine. At least I didn't find it that way. But
well,
it does feel like it's kind of like scattered like a shotgun blast. It's less incisive, I guess, which is maybe a good thing.
mhm.
But I also don't know how intentional or effective it is. You know, like I think we're both very mixed on like how much of that was intentional because it's going
Yeah.
to determine how much I'm going to respond to it.
Yeah.
You
Well, I'm
know?
also like, I'm at this point with this movie where I'm like, even if it's not intentional, I still get stuff out of this that I don't get from other movies, right? So it's
Yeah.
more of a question of like, will Emerald, like, is she gonna move forward in a good direction from this and maybe make more interesting things, or is this kind of the peak of what she can do? But I still, even if like a lot of what I like about this wasn't her intention, and we'll get to what I think the big thing this movie is, which like I have no evidence that this is what she was going for, except for one thing. But it does feel like it's weird. But to talk about the weird, like how it's not like super sexy, right? Like, but
Hmm.
it's very sexual, and it's weird where it's like eroticism minus the actual erotic part. Like it's just the power dynamic of it, which is part of what I find fascinating and also really unsettling about the movie.
Yeah.
um, uh, where I found the ending of this like genuinely kind of unsettling, and I again I don't know how much of that was what the filmmaker was going for, but it really stuck with me. It
Me too. I think the ending's the best part of the movie. And I think I won't call it brilliant, but I think like okay, everything came together right here.
mhm,
And I think it's because we're talking about like the subtlety, metaphors, whatever, all that bullshit. It doesn't matter. Everyone understands when Barry Keoghan is literally running around swinging his dick around the place.
mhm.
You understand like why that is the scene, why that is shot that way, why he's doing that in the scene. It's like yeah, he won. He's literally just swinging his dick around because
Yeah,
he's
he
victorious.
won by killing everyone
Yes.
and essentially consuming them is the ending of the film. Like
Hmm.
it's it's really fucked up. Like it's one of those things
It
where
is.
I feel like if I go like this movie's fucking insane, people like me like pop out to be like, what, you can't handle a little bit of like they think I'm talking about the cum bathwater or the like period blood shit, right? Like that's what they think I'm talking about. And it's like, no,
Hmm.
that stuff's not that weird. That stuff,
Yeah.
comparatively, it's the vibe of the ending is so insanely fucked up that I'm surprised that people are just kind of like, about it. Like, uh, it feels, it's like one of those, like when you watch a movie that feels like it's painfully too honest, right? It feels like The Room almost, where we like you get to see too much of Tommy Wiseau's inner turmoil in The Room, right? Of like, this is how
Hmm.
he genuinely feels about this relationship he had, and there's something here where it's like this is almost too much of just a the ending of this movie. He's enjoying this too much, and the camera is enjoying him enjoying it too much. And like when he looks at the little thing, I don't know what it's called. It's like the little wind up thing that he had,
Hmm.
with the trinkets inside, which is very much a like. It's very much like now the like the whole family are his treasures, right? that he has.
Yeah.
It's like that's really upsetting. Like, it really upset me, and like ending on that note is I think what kept this movie with me longer than maybe another ending would have. And I don't know if the dancing part of it really works. Like I feel like we're just doing too much of the dancing thing of just like, like it feels like it's happening a lot more where a character just dances. I think
I
Joker.
liked it when Rocket Raccoon did it.
When did he do it?
At the end of Guardians 3,
Oh
everyone
yeah,
dances together.
that movie's bad.
No.
But I think
It's just
Joker
uneven.
Joker kind of ruined it because like he dances like 17,000 times in that movie.
Yeah, well, the dancing there also doesn't work
Mhm.
for the reasons that it works here, basically.
It works better here. I don't know if it totally
it
works, but it sticks with me. And that's
Yeah, I think that's why I think it works for me so much. Like it stuck with me, and it was like a clear, concise purpose for it. Now it's fucked up, and like it's very degrading to the other characters in the movie.
It's
but it's
sexually
like, it's
degrading. Like it's
Yeah,
such a
but-
violating ending. And
No, it is. But like, a part of the reason why I didn't like Promising Young Women, and I didn't really like most of this, is that I was less about like the subject matter and more just how effective I thought it was at communicating the subject matter visually or through editing or even through guiding the performances. Not that any of the performances are like off kilter or anything like that. I think the movie's off kilter, but the ending is so direct in its intentions. And I think it's successful at that.
But then it's also
And
insane to then have Emerald be like, and we're on his side. Like the audience should be on his side for that moment. And
no, that is psychotic.
Like that is, that's a crazy thing to say. Like,
no, it is. There's a very telling interview. I think it's like Variety or someone does those like directors on a scene, whatever, for a movie they're promoting.
Mhm.
Have you seen that?
I think I saw it when it first aired, but before I had actually seen the movie. So I saw part of it anyway.
She says like, like you want to be like, everyone wants like friends or to be around people, but no one really like likes their friends, and like no one really likes each other. And I'm just like, what the fuck? What was that? Like, what? Just get different friends, Emerald.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know you personally, but I feel like you should like the people you're around.
Yeah, that was a crazy comment. I think
you didn't have to say that.
I think I made the joke though at the time where it's like, oh, but when David Fincher hates all humanity, you give him a pass.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that is a genuinely kind of like weird thing to say, and maybe a little telling as to what this movie is. But yeah, that is a weird. I like my friends. What the fuck? Like it's I'm not.
I like spending time with people.
Yeah, if I only had friends to use them, I wouldn't be talking to you, Diego. Sorry, I had to.
No, it's fine.
But you know what I'm saying? Like we have friends in our lives where it's like we're great friends with them, and also like they don't. It's not like I'm getting one up in the world through them. Like just it's them being around that is the reward, right? It is not any sort of. So it's so crazy to hear him be like, well, no one has any real friends, and I'm like, Emerald, no.
I was like, oh boy.
The other insane X factor is that like up until like right before this movie came out, she was dating Bo Burnham.
Oh my God, she was?
Yeah, that's why he's in Promising Young Woman.
Oh my God, did he leave her for Phoebe Bridges?
I think so.
That's
I could be getting my timeline wrong.
Amazing.
Let me check. I could have sworn he was with Emerald. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I made a misconnection somewhere. But
okay,
I think I might be wrong because now it's not on either of their Wikipedias. So, but
okay, that was actually like
sorry.
But
he is in Promising Young Woman. So I don't know.
Yes, and I think he's good in it.
Yeah. There are good performances in those movies, but she gets The other, I guess
Schmidt from New Girl.
the other factor is Margot Robbie produced both these movies.
Yeah, Margot Robbie's kind of a freak, low key.
Yeah, but also at the same time she's
Like,
very
I say
much.
that as nothing but a positive.
But at the same time she's very much. This is in the middle of, Birds of Prey, Promising Young Woman, Barbie are like 3 movies she produces in a row, and they all kind of have a similar vibe to them, in terms of like women directors, women protagonists, right? And so like I think she's very much putting her flag down there. And then Saltburn is kind of a bit of a black sheep in terms of it. That feels like it's just kind of like, well, we cooked with Promising Young Woman. Let's just do that again. And then this is what we got. But,
yeah. I have to fucking mention something. So when I say Margot Robbie's a freak, I mean like she's very offbeat with her decisions and what she's producing. Because like Birds of Prey, girl gang movie, totally basically technically didn't work. It's basically a failed blockbuster, but it's a kick-ass movie.
Yeah, we both
then she's like,
like
I want to
that movie,
do
so
yeah. And then she's like, and I want to do Tank Girl next, which is just like, all right, let's fucking like those are crazy choices for someone to like commit to. But the other thing I have to mention, which is not related to Margot Robbie at all, I looked up Bo Burnham, and like is just on Wikipedia. I was like, okay, he's dating Phoebe Bridgers. I didn't know he dated Lorene Scafaria.
You know what? I
like
might have mixed that up. That might be the mistake I made. That they dated. All right, I remember.
I did not know that at all. She's a really good director, by the way. Everyone should go watch her work on Succession, especially.
She hasn't made anything in a bit.
And also Hustlers, which is a banger.
Did she direct Hustlers?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hustlers was good.
It's a good movie.
So.
That just caught me off guard. Now that caught me less off guard than the
I
potential
I must
connection.
have mixed the two up. For some reason, I think it's the Phoebe Bridgers thing. Like I think there was some part of me that like fucks, like a bunch of shit got jumbled in my brain. But
no, all white people look the same. I get you.
They kind of do actually, but it's becoming a problem to keep track of white people.
Yeah.
See, they can just be anywhere, and we wouldn't even know it.
Yeah, it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Why is Emerald?
Although, I think that's why Barry Keoghan has become like a moderately popular actor, a very great actor, I would argue.
No, he's good, but I do kind of feel bad.
He looks offbeat.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad that like it's like you can play weird little fucks like that seem to be the vibe they're going for. Why is Emerald Fennell's Wikipedia picture, which I know isn't her fault, she doesn't get the pictures. Why is it her reading a book? Is it her book? I think it is.
I don't know. Did she write a book?
Apparently.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what. I can't read the title. I think it's her book. So
congratulations.
She's also a published author. Shiverton Hall. She wrote 2 books in the Shiverton Hall series. I don't know what the fuck that is. Let me look this up real quick, because this might tell us something. This deliciously creepy tale will have readers needing to keep the lights on at night. Oh boy. It's about a spooky boarding school, apparently. Can't really tell what. All right. Well, she wrote a book. She wrote a few books, actually. Maybe I should read them. They might help.
Yeah.
Because this brings me to my ultimate point about Saltburn. What I think the movie really is about. And I've made this point online, so I don't think people are going to be totally shocked. And I want to say I've seen people independently come to the similar conclusion, although slightly different than my take. I guess I'll just say the craziest version of my take, which I think this is a Harry Potter fan fiction with the names changed. I think this is an AU Harry Potter grimdark fanfic that was reworked into a movie. And I think the fact that now that I know she wrote a book about a creepy boarding school, and there is a
Just
line in the movie when they're naked in the field, which is a scene that happens, and they compliment his big dick, which is a thing you do with friends. Um, and I think the one kid is reading Harry Potter, and he says something. It's kind of like a blink and you miss it line because it's part of like one of the 17 montages that are in this movie. Uh, he says, "Do you think Harry, Hermione, and Ron all had threesomes?" Because it's like, everyone was talking about Harry Potter at the time.
mhm.
So that's what's edgier than thinking about the characters from Harry Potter having sex. What's deeper than that? Um, but
If there's something, I don't know what it is.
but I think it was Gita Jackson wrote a piece where she said her take was Saltburn isn't a good movie, but it's a good movie for writing fan fiction based on. And her whole take was like the dynamic between Oliver and Felix is like prime for fan fiction, right? Just
Hmm.
the dynamic between them. It's almost like a Raylo situation. Like it's perfectly primed to write fanfic. And then I saw a video. I didn't watch it because it was like an hour long on YouTube from a channel I didn't realize called like the Tumblrification of cinema, and it was like Saltburn was the like thing it was built around. And those I did not. I read Gita's after I came to my point, and I talked to my friend Shannon, and she also was like, I also thought of fan fiction while watching this, which can maybe tell you where our minds were at back in the Tumblr days. But that we both jumped to a fan fiction conclusion. This feels like fan fiction of something that doesn't exist. And the closest I could find is that it's a weird Harry Potter AU in the vibe of something like My Immortal. Do you know My Immortal, the famously bad fanfic that is?
No, what's that
Oh,
one?
you don't know My Immortal?
If you explain it to me, maybe I'll remember
My
hearing about
Immortal.
it.
I'm gonna get details wrong because My Immortal's insane. It's a Harry Potter AU fanfic where it's got like an OC character. You know what an OC is, right? Like
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's basically the author's character. It was written by someone who was like XX bloody wrists XX666, and the Wikipedia carefully points out that the identity of the author is disputed. And it's about a girl named Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway in an AU fanfic with Harry Potter characters where like she's in a romantic relationship with Draco Malfoy, who's like also a vampire or something. Like it's like a famously bad fanfic. It's one of those where like I'm pretty sure it was written as a joke. Like
Hmm.
I think whoever wrote it wasn't really trying to write a genuine fanfic, but it is kind of emblematic of the type of fanfic that was written. I mean, My Immortal is a reference to an Evanescence song. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
so it's
yeah. My initial thought was, oh, Twilight.
yeah, it's actually it might actually predate Twilight. It was published in 2006. When is the first Twilight book published? 2005, so it's like right after that. So it's like this is like the build up of it's between the publishing of the first Twilight book and the release of the first movie. So I mean, there was a lot of vampire fanfics back in the day, and maybe Twilight kind of washed that away. I don't know what's going on anymore. Like I don't know, um, but that was a big thing of just like it's the thing, but they're all vampires. And I tell you, there's a vampiric vibe to this fucking movie, right? Like
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of that going on here, and I think this movie has that that embarrassing vibe you get from a fanfic of just someone pouring way too much of themselves into it, and it's like it feels like a fanfic written by like a budding gay young teenager with a lot of emotions and a lot of anger issues. They're angry at the world, but they don't really know why. They have a lot of misdirected emotions, and they're trying to explore themselves a little bit. And not to be one of those fuckers, but like this almost feels like the movie is written by Oliver, right? that
Oh,
yeah,
uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
don't like that take of like it was all a dream or like it was all in their head, right? Like I hate that. But it
Hmm.
does feel like it was a story written by someone like Oliver, who is simultaneously the best sex haver and like that can manipulate anyone, but is also like filled with self hatred, and is like got a
Hmm.
persecution complex that even when they're exposed for their lie, they're still the victim, and
Yeah.
like that is the total vibe of this movie, is that it was written by someone like Oliver. You almost wonder if the revenge thing is bullshit, but he really did kill Felix, but it was just to cover up what he did. That he did it out of embarrassment. And then like retroactively he was like, actually, Mr. Policeman, I gave you all the clues. Like that there was actually no plan. But and then who knows what even really happened. But it feels like it is a story being told by someone like Oliver, who has a really high opinion of themselves and is like either a budding sociopath or just like a teenager who's dealing with it too much. Like,
Yeah.
so that was the vibe, and that's what I responded to most positively about it. That if Emerald Fennell comes out and is like, yeah, Saltburn, like it started as a fanfic that I wrote back in when I was in college. If she admits to that, we should give her the Palme d'Or. Like it's like if that ends up being what this is, because I think this is the best encapsulation of that kind of writing I have yet seen. Right?
I think at this rate, if she keeps making movies like this, I think she will win the Palme d'Or because she's very. This makes me think she's very French coded now.
Yeah.
This is the insulting, degrading nature of its
Hmm.
protagonists. It's the same as being French, so they're gonna respond to
Sure, but
something
she's
over
too
there.
British though, and they hate the British.
You know that maybe that's they cancel each other out though.
It's mutually assured
You know?
destruction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Emerald Fennell will
Like
destroy the
she
Cannes
will
Film
premiere something
Festival.
at Cannes.
Yes.
Something will get premiered of hers at Cannes, and then they'll get the booze and the standing ovation,
Yes.
which is the dream as a filmmaker,
Yeah.
frankly.
I'll say that's what kind of made me want to watch this finally, was that like it was so divisive. Like that some people really loved it and some people really hated it. And then I
Yeah,
come in as the
yeah.
last classical liberal to be like, it's fine. And that's almost the most damning criticism I can give of this movie, is that you feel like a movie with menstrual blood and with cum bathwater and like so
And
much.
cemetery
Yes,
fucking.
and like fucking a person's remains, essentially, of fucking their grave, should be more than fine. It feels like it should be a lot more than that. That's an upsetting scene. Of
Yeah,
of
a friend of mine responded very negatively to that, and they had said they almost walked out of the movie from that. They were like they were so insulted by that, and I was like, yeah, I get it.
so
I get
they
it.
know what it feels like to watch Beau is Afraid. Anyway, uh,
Boo! That's a better movie than
no,
this.
absolutely not. I was too easy on that
Oh my
fucking movie. Beau
god.
is Afraid is trash.
No, it's funny. It's just a little
All
long.
right, give me a second. All right, you have 30 seconds. Sell me on Beau is Afraid.
I don't
Sell me
have
on
that.
sell me
To you, I have no
sell,
defense of that
sell me on
movie.
Beau is Afraid.
Nathan Lane is in it for a couple minutes.
Yeah, not enough.
No, no, it's not. He should have been
Yeah,
Bo.
he should have played every character. But
Someone should do that for Nathan Lane. Just make him a movie where he's everyone.
why not? But if
Yeah.
you ask, I could have given you my fanfic answer about Saltburn, which is my big take on it, in 30 seconds. I have that ready to go. Well, you don't got
Okay. Well, first
shit.
let me say. I think you're also correct in why that's why younger people are responding to this, like the fanficky nature of
Mhm.
it. I think that is sort of like a gateway to accessing like weirder movies at this
Yeah.
point for some people.
Well, I also think
That's
fanfic.
why I blew up on TikTok. Murder on the Dance Floor. It's still fucking like trending on TikTok
Yeah.
probably.
Well, I also think it's that thing of like we lament the kind of like the disappearing of sex from cinema and shit like that, right? Which is
Yeah.
bad, which is disappointing. And then like a movie like this comes out of nowhere, and you're like, what the fuck? But
Yeah, I know. It's like wait. Like
but I think a big part of it is the internet, because I think a lot of that stuff migrated to the internet, and I think that it broke the sort of heteronormative kind of sex you would see in a mainstream movie, right? I think that's why when it
Yeah.
does crop up in movies, it is kind of this like wild swing like this now. Because now online, like fan fiction, I think exists because it's filling a gap that you aren't getting from mainstream culture. It's, if you are a gay teenager and you're reading Harry Potter and you're like, why don't Harry and Ron kiss or something like that? Like,
Yeah.
like fuck Ginny, like why don't they kiss? And you just like because like unfortunately if in the early 2000s deep down you're not gonna get that, right? Like
Mhm.
you're like that sort of media just doesn't exist. It barely exists now, but it is better now. Uh, but you have to turn to something like fan fiction. And then in fan fiction, there are no rules. Like, so people can just go anywhere with it. So, like, you could be just looking for, like, I just want the boys to kiss. And then you're getting something fucking out of control, like Saltburn. and then for some people, they're going to watch it and be like, I kind of liked it. And then that's going to change the direction of your life. So, I think that's where Saltburn kind of fits into. I do think that's why Gen Z is kind of responding to it. I think they just
Mhm.
relate to that sort of weird art that I think it's something that the older generation just like, for our generation, I think most of us, I think it was still kind of niche for millennials, right? Like there was still kind of a stigma to it. And I think it's just gone now for Gen Z. Um, I don't
Yeah.
see it as much.
Where like, I mean, to bring up the TikTok stuff again, there are straight up advertisements because like we talk about how, like with filmmakers, you have to be the writer, producer, and director, sometimes even star to sell your stuff. You got to wear all the hats, which
Yeah.
is fucking bullshit, and is not the key to a successful
Yeah.
industry. But what fucking ever. There's also like literary sides to that where it's like you have to promote your book on social media, and it's like you have to pitch it that this book has all those tropes you love, and it's like that's not even the author's fault. Like whatever the quality of their books, otherwise, like
Yeah.
that's not their job. Their job is to write a story
Yeah.
like that is comprehensive and makes sense from moment to moment. Like that's not, you used to have marketing people for that. Whose fucking responsibility is that really?
Mhm.
Like what fucking bullshit. And so I think like getting that funnel directly to audiences that way, while worthy of criticism, is something that people respond to. Like, oh, this has those tropes. I respond to those tropes. I like, oh no, there's only one bed in this inn and the rest of the rooms are
Yeah.
booked. Like, I mean, hey, I get
Yeah,
it.
we
um,
deep down we just want to get to the good stuff. Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
want that
yeah,
excuse, and especially when you're an
yeah.
underserved demographic. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, enemies to
I mean,
lovers.
but,
What? Like stuff
yeah,
like that.
but who doesn't like that?
Um, I mean,
I think I've become pro
yeah,
Raylo. Like I think I'm just like go for it, kids. Like I don't like I'm not like participating, but like I'm like you know what, have fun. Like yeah,
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 yeah. I'm
go
like,
for it.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah. Didn't stick the landing, but like, I
No,
get
you guys
it.
got screwed more than anyone, but
Mm-hmm.
you guys got more screwed than the actors of that movie. But
I know. There's that great fucking video when it's like ending, and it was like a Raylo screening for Rise of
oh
Skywalker, and they're just like when the lady asks Ray like, who are you? And they're like, don't say it, don't say it. And she's like, Ray Skywalker, and they're like, I fucking hate Star Wars.
the poor Raylos.
Apologies to all the Raylos out
Yeah,
there.
you,
We are bonded together through the great phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my
yeah.
friend.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know what? They're supporting Star Wars more than I am these days. Like, they should have gotten something
Yeah,
out of this.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, another friend of mine was mentioning how they were like pro Raylo, and then they hated Rise of Skywalker, and they were like, yeah, they even kissed, and I fucking hated it. Like, it's like no one was happy.
that's how you know they fucked up. Like, that's how you fucking
I
know.
know.
Fuck that movie.
Yeah.
But you know who's a big Raylo?
Emerald Fennell.
No, Vox Aqua.
Oh,
I
okay.
found that out recently. So just to bring it back. But yeah. So I don't know. I find Saltburn exists in a weird space right now where it's oddly unique, but not in the way people seem to think it is. I feel like, like I said, it's getting lapped into like this movie's so fucked up, and it's not that, but it is fucked up, and I do think it has some value. Now, like whether or not this value will last is another question, but I think Emerald needs to get more and more away from the promising young woman thing. She needs to stop trying to write stuff that will get Oscar nominated and just get trashier, because the trashier is what works the most. Like, it's the
I agree.
it's the other stuff that, like, when it's trying to say something about class, or it's trying to be like. Although I will say, when Felix dies, it does kind of have a genuine impact. Like, it does kind of, like, it's melodramatic, but it does kind of work, except for the fucking Richard E. Grant being like, he's just cold, or whatever the fuck he was doing. That was a little weird.
God bless Richard E. Grant. He keeps, every time he pops up on this podcast, it's like Rise of Skywalker or Saltburn. Like,
Richard E. Grant.
He's such a good actor, and he's like one of the most exciting social media presences because he's just so happy to be alive. It looks like
I really liked his performance in it because he did kind of remind me of rich fathers I knew.
No, he is always good.
I knew a family. They didn't have a castle, but they had a big house, and they had pictures on the wall of them with Dick Cheney.
Oh.
In like not after it was no longer cool to like the Bush administration by like a couple of years, like post Katrina, like, and they had that picture up for a long time. So, yeah. So one of the type of people I used to know growing up. Rich people are weird.
They are. That is the true message of Saltburn.
God, did you like you're like watching this? That's how you know Oliver's a psychopath. Because like if I was walking through this castle, right? Like I can't think of a less of a place I'd want to live.
Yeah, and like I'll say the lighting is really good.
The lighting
and stuff
is
like
really
that. Like the candlelit dinner is like terrific. But I'm also like, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, which is why maybe it's a tell that we're not supposed to like him. But then again, she said we are supposed to like him. So I'm like, what?
But it was Emerald Fennell.
Maybe it's just stuff she likes, you know, which is fine.
But also, Emerald Fennell could just be saying things like, she could be like Colin Trevorrow,
or it's like,
where he just says things.
You know what? I figured it out. I've got it figured out. She's not Paul W.S. Anderson. She's not David Fincher. She's Zack Snyder.
Yeah, maybe. You know what? She's
because
there might be something there.
Because the stuff we're talking about responding to, we have vocal counter responses from her, the writer and director, and the stuff I respond to sometimes with Zack Snyder movies, I have vocal counter responses from him directly. Where I'm like, oh yeah, I love BVS because in that Batman has to come back from the dark side. He's fallen from grace, and Superman helps him rediscover his faith again. And then Zack Snyder's like, yeah, no, you just gotta have Batman killing because it's like no one's done that before. And it's like,
no, buddy, stop.
And so maybe that's it. Maybe she's just another Zack Snyder for me now. Who knows? Because he has made movies I straight up hate too.
Yeah. Who fucking knows,
there
man?
You go. 300's his promising young woman.
You know what? You know what? I think you're right.
I've solved it. I've done it.
God damn, they need to bring fucking At the Movies back. You need to fucking get on TV, Diego, with fucking takes. Jesus Christ. God damn, you make it right. Another movie where
I pulled that out of my
when I was 13 and watching fucking 300, I'm like, yeah, dudes rock. And now I watch it and I'm like, A, it's disgusting. B, it's so gay. It's just.
Oh shit.
Oh my god, you fucking stop drilling, you hit oil. It's God damn, man. Wow.
Well, that was Saltburn and a little Promising Young Woman and a little bit Killing Eve, but mostly all Emerald Fennell.
Yes. Oops, all Emerald Fennell.
Matt, thanks for joining me on this bonus episode for the season.
Out of this.
I hope so too, because I'm honestly fine with people liking or hating this movie at this point.
I'm just more I just want people to be. I just want go like, there's more to this than it just being a bad movie, I think. And I could
Which is like,
I could just see it growing in. I could see it as easily growing in its reputation as shrinking in its reputation. Like I could see it going either way. I can certainly see it more than fucking Babylon. Like, which
yeah, people really like that movie.
Which
But I'll say this: I think both this and Babylon, I think, should their reputations actually grow together, like. I do think people who respond to these movies are going to be more willing to check out other movies they're trying to be in the vein of, which is like more interesting cinema.
Yeah, I think that will happen too, more so than like when Joker came out. It felt like no one saw Taxi Driver after Joker came out. So, like, I do think Babylon and this will point people in better directions. And hopefully that's what we'll see. I'm genuinely interested in what she does next. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to see it or that it'll be good, but I am interested. So hopefully, again, I wanted to get further away from like stop aiming for awards. Like just go full trash with whatever you do next.
Yeah.
Like, just make the trashiest fucking thing you can think of, and.
She should do like a Friday the 13th movie or something.
Yeah, honestly,
I'm not even like being.
Yeah,
snarky.
like that. I feel like that end with fucking what's his fuck who did Babylon. That like.
Damien Chazelle.
Yeah. I always forget his fucking name. They should both just do a genre exercise, right? Like they should both, and not try to be like I'm subverting it. Like no, like get something where like you have to be locked in, you hit the beats, and then just put your shit on top of it, and then we can see what it is better. Like. Yeah. I think they would be a better choice for both of them. I guess you know what?
Everybody needs to do like their version of Duel or something. Yeah, like that,
yeah.
You know?
But also, I'm starting to realize I think what I'm responding to with Saltburn is why I also still like Whiplash, which is that they're both kind of monster movies. Like I talked about Whiplash being like a Frankenstein movie, and this is kind of a Dracula film. Like it's so. They invited the vampire in. Right, like there's a lot of vampiric stuff in this, so that's like a cheat code to getting me to like your movie. Really, is like making a monster movie secretly, which says a lot about how much I don't like Jurassic World.
Yeah.
So.
Way to go, Colin.
Yeah. What's he up to?
He's producing something, I think.
Good for him.
I don't know. He's not attached to the next Jurassic Park movie. So.
Well, yeah, that would be expected.
Yeah, Jurassic City. Excuse me. I think that's the title. I don't know for sure.
They got to work on the titles too.
Yeah, Jurassic City. Like it sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon, which is maybe just the vibe they're gonna go for at this point. But whatever. I don't know. Gareth Edwards is a good director, so. I'll take it.
All right.
Yeah, that was Saltburn. Thanks again for this bonus episode, Matt, and joining me on it. I think we have one more bonus episode on the docket.
Yes. Do you want to say what it is?
Do we say what it is? Do I save it just entirely?
I think you can say it here since this is already a bonus. So.
Okay. It is Christopher Nolan's Interstellar.
Yes, it's my makeup for making Diego rewatch Saltburn.
Yeah. I didn't hate rewatching it, but I'm just like, yep, not as good as The Last Boy Scout. It is the 10th anniversary of Interstellar, so I really wanted to do this. I was fucking flabbergasted it lost in the voting, but
it was the closest though. Like that was a very close vote. Like, whereas like I expected a lot of them to be closer. And instead Babylon ate Saltburn's lunch, if I remember correctly. So,
that was insane.
And I'll be bitter about it till the day I die, even though I forced this episode through. But
no, this was good. This was a good one. I hope Interstellar's good too, because it's that is a strange beast of a movie.
Yes, it is.
It's like really well liked now. Generally,
yeah,
it was not 10 years ago. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, Matt. Any plugs you want to give away? Anywhere you want people to find you online?
No, not really.
All right, links down to all of our stuff below. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you didn't like this episode, like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like.
And again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional.
Bye.